The IDA is a multi-issue institution that helps provide aid to countries to improve things like water sanitation, their public healthcare system, their education, their business climate, um, things like infrastructure, anything that has to do with like institutional reforms. Um, these help those countries to improve living conditions, um, incomes, help create jobs. Um, they also help to mitigate security, environmental, and general health concerns to try to provide equity on an international scale for countries who otherwise would not be, would have a very low standard of living. For general contributing partners, basically the IDA is an easy way for them to donate money and understand that it's going to countries that need it, as opposed to having to try to aid the countries on a more direct scale, which would require a lot of resources. They are a function of they are under the World Bank. Operationally, they have been around for several decades. India is now no longer a partner or receiving contribution from the IDA. They haven't been since 2007. And the IDA currently is taking contribution from 176 different countries while serving over 40.
The IDA aims to reduce poverty by providing loans, also called credits, and grants for programs that boost economic growth, reduce inequalities, and improve people's living conditions. The IDA is one of the largest sources of assistance for the world's 76 poorest countries and is the single largest source of donor funds for basic social services in these countries. Since 1960, the IDA has provided $375 billion for investments in 113 countries. Annual commitments have increased steadily and averaged about $22 billion over the last 3 years. As of 2014, India no longer received grants from the IDA branch of the World Bank. However, they were still the second largest borrowers from the World Bank in 2016 and 17. This is mostly used on small economic schemes like rural roads and cheap LED lights.
The necessity of the IDA is high because its main goal is to help poor and underdeveloping countries have the funds necessary to advance their development. From 2000 to 2010, it helped finance projects which recruited and trained 3 million teachers, vaccinated 310 million children, funded 792 million in loans to 120,000 small and medium enterprises, built or restored 118 kilometers of paved roads, built or restored 1,600 bridges, and expanded access to improved water to 113 million people. It also improves sanitation facilities to 5.8 million people. 36 of the association's borrowing countries have graduated from their eligibility for its consensual lending. Among those 36 countries are countries such as China, India, and South Korea. The IDA currently have grants to countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Kenya. Since they started, they have issued $375 billion to 113 countries who've needed help developing and continue to help countries develop.
After watching the video and doing my own independent research, I have found that the World Bank and IMF are both, as described in the video, being used to drain resources from poor countries and feed them back into larger countries. Um, by offering loans to poor countries and by proxy making their economies accessible to the West, the corporations that are much more powerful than they are. Um, they have essentially allowed for the West to control the entire economy of these countries. And that's something that these countries did not necessarily understand probably when they first accepted the loans. It was a part of terms and conditions that were signed by them. Um, in theory, the World Bank and the IMF are good institutions to have, but the practice that they currently are using is, dare I say, unethical.